We finally have some good Assassin's Creed news. Yes, I'm surprised as well, but this is great. We have an update on the future of Assassin's Creed. This is what Ubisoft posted, and they basically revealed new members of leadership team that will steer the franchise ambitious new chapter. So we got Martin Skelling, he will be the head of the AC brand, Jean Goudon, the head of content, and Francois de Billy, head of the production excellence. Now, hopefully I did not butcher those names. I might, but let's go here. I think that's very interesting that they have like this link and then we go to a Reddit page. They have their own website, but they're like, no, go to Reddit, please. Okay. Martin will lead the franchise team, as well as the overall strategy, long-term vision, and development of Assassin's Creed. Martin previously worked as a senior producer on many defining titles in the series, including Revelations, Black Flag Origins, and Valhalla. I went to his Moby Games as well, because I think he deleted his LinkedIn, or it's very well hidden. Either way, he has been with Ubisoft for a very long time, and was still doing a lot of the, like, Far Cry. Like, he was a producer, production manager on a ton of different things. So, basically, everything that Ubisoft put out in recent years, he had a hand in it somewhere. But, of course, he was way more, like, he was actually way more engaged as, like, a brand producer on the Assassin's Creed brand. So, basically, after Black Flag, he took a role that was, like, more overseeing all the other stuff that they put out. But now he's, like, fully focused back on Assassin's Creed. Jean Guédot is appointed head of content. He will lead the creative direction of the franchise, support ongoing projects, and help shape the franchise future while ensuring it remains true to its DNA. We need someone like that, thanks. You probably remember Sean for his work as a creative director on Black Flag and Origins. That's pretty crazy. Like, those are some of the best Assassin's Creed games, of course. But his history with the series goes all the way back to Assassin's Creed 2. His contribution to the brand is immense, and we're delighted to see him return to help shape this next exciting chapter. Because yes, Sean left Ubisoft and now is back, so he worked at Ubisoft for 17 years and again was like a creative director on Origins. Then he worked on an undisclosed project, and we now kind of learned what that is. So there was a report from Kotaku, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Origins director, latest to leave Ubisoft. Up until now, Godin spent the last 5 years as a creative director on an undisclosed game at Montreal. Kotaku understands it was codenamed Renaissance, a collaborative voxel-based game with shades of Minecraft. And we got some leaked art. This was posted by Multiplayer First. So yeah, it looks very Minecraft-like, of course. But the project might not be cancelled after all. So we learned about this actually last year in June, but they note that this cancellation is said to have paved the way for another project codenamed Altera, which is reportedly inspired by Animal Crossing and also utilized this voxel generation technology. So going back to Sean, things might not have worked out with Project Renaissance. That's maybe why he left and did some other things. But he actually has been back at Ubisoft since April 2024, and now he's actually put back into Assassin's Creed. I think I interviewed him maybe once or twice, but yeah, overall this is great news. Like, we will not be seeing Ashraf Ismail back. He was, of course, the game director on Black Flag Origins, and he also worked on Valhalla. He was a bad apple, let's put it lightly. Of course, we learned about the things that he did. He misused his power. It was not great stuff. Like, he was fired, and then knowledge left, but good riddance. But it is cool that we do have the creative director on those projects now in charge of Assassin's Creed. So again, great news. Let's continue because again we have that third name, Francois de Billy. I'm really butchering that name. I'm sorry. He will be head of production excellence. He will support our teams by strengthening production practices and execution across the franchise. Francois recently worked as a senior director, global production, and contributed to several major Assassin's Creed titles, including Revelations and Black Flag, and more recently as a production director on Origins and Valhalla. So, of course, let's LinkedIn stalk him as well. So, yeah, he has been at Ubisoft for a very, very long time, as we see here. Valhalla, Origins, Black Flag. So, yeah, they're really picking the right people for the job. And, of course, we know, like, Assassin's Creed is now part of Vantage Studios, and Yves Guillemot's son is one of the two leaders at Vantage Studios, and we're all like, are you really, like, is that really the best pick? But yeah, these people, only great things. There is one interesting thing though, because we're only talking about Black Flag, Valhalla Origins. It's all Ubisoft Montreal. Well, of course, first, Marc-Alexis Cote, former Assassin's Creed boss, confirms Ubisoft asked him to step aside. Like, he was the Ubisoft Quebec person. He had an office in Ubisoft Quebec. So first, the Assassin's Creed franchise was like led by, yeah, the people in Quebec basically, or yeah, the main like home base was in Quebec, but now it's shifting back to Montreal. And I'm not sure if that's like a reaction to the underperformance of Shadows. Again, like the game did well, but not good enough. Like, I think it's like below Odyssey right now, probably, in terms of success. So maybe that was one of the reasons, or maybe they are kind of moving away from the RPG approach that Quebec kind of did. I think it's very fascinating, but that was like my big like sort of reaction on seeing these three people all from Montreal and all having only worked on Montreal games. And I think that that means some interesting things. Let's talk a bit more about that. I also want to talk a bit more about the future and what we can then kind of expect. First, let's finish this article. Martin, Sean, and Francois have a long history of making Assassin's Creed games, including some of the series' most memorable titles, and seeing them reunited marks the beginning of an exciting and ambitious new chapter for AC. They will form the franchise leadership team with André, producer for the Assassin's Creed cross-brand initiatives, so like the Netflix show we got going, and head of technology excellence, and also Lionel Hiller, VP brand and go-to-market strategy. Before we close, Sean wanted to share a personal message directly with you. Okay, take it away, Sean. It is wonderful to be back after all these years. Assassin's Creed has been a defining part of my professional life, and being back feels like coming home. This universe, these characters, these worlds, and of course the community have always meant so much to me. I'm especially grateful to be sharing this journey with all of you again, and look forward to sharing more about the next steps ahead for the franchise. Until then, nothing is true. Everything is permitted. And maybe that's why they put it on Reddit, to be directly talking to the community. But yeah, very, very interesting overall. Like, of course, in 2022, they did the 15th anniversary for Assassin's Creed, the Assassin's Creed Showcase. Like, I would not be surprised if for the 20th anniversary, which will be next year in 2027, they will do a similar showcase. Because I think a lot has changed. Here we did see Marc-Alexis Cote talk about the future of the franchise, did a lot of interviews, but a lot of information from those interviews, like saying that Shadows would be an MMO-like experience in terms of the DLC and all that sort of stuff, it's not true anymore. And saying that, yo, Shadows will be supported even after Hexe comes out. Well, that's not true anymore either. So I do think it's good to kind of touch base with the community again and have an event like this where they will, like, by this point, we will likely have seen... Okay, let's go to this article first. So yeah, we're on Insider Gaming. Tom Henderson, of course, in the Sunday video, my weekly news roundup on the main channel. Totally check it out if you are not already. I talked about the Yves Guillemot interview with Variety. It was said that 2 Far Cry games are in development, but he also talked about multiple Assassin's Creed games are currently in development with both single-player and multiplayer experience. And then Tom adds, 3 games are understood to be fully locked in, according to Insider Gaming sources. Invictus, a multiplayer title, so that's the Fall Guys type situation. I'm still like curious if that, like, I have not a lot of like faith in that, but we will see. I hope I'm wrong. And Obsidian, the Black Flag remake, scheduled to release later this year, with of course the rumor right now being July 28th. You can't really see it, but basically on a bookstore website, they put the date in for July 28th. While before that, the date was March 24th. And that seemed to have been the date before they delayed it. Of course, that's not confirmed. Talked about it in the previous video already. But yeah, that's what's happening with Black Flag. The latest update on that. And the third game, codenamed Neo, publicly known as Hexe, is now scheduled to be released in 2027. So yeah, this title was first planned for the end of 2026, but of course, everything from Ubisoft got delayed to increase the quality, so now it's coming in 2027. So yeah, I think this is gonna be the celebration of the 20th anniversary. I've talked about it before. There are rumors that maybe Ezio is in the game. So yeah, that would be a great way to celebrate the franchise, of course. But I think that before that, you can be like, yo, we have big plans. Let's do that showcase again. So maybe in September they do the showcase. Then they also say, yo, Hexe, or maybe Hexe already has an October date, or I don't know. But I would not be surprised if we see another showcase basically to celebrate the 20th anniversary. But there's more going on. I want to touch on some other projects that have been like kind of rumored and what I think they should do and what kind of direction might be. So let's first look at this article from May 2025. I think this is the most recent sort of full look at the roadmap for Assassin's Creed as of last year. But again, things have changed maybe. Still, I think it's interesting. We can quickly go over this. So yeah, Jade, the mobile game, but made by Tencent. I really would not be surprised if we see that again this year. Maybe they launch it this year. Ubisoft is finally launching their multiplayer or their mobile games. Rainbow Six mobile is now out, and the Division mobile is coming in March. But of course, we will see. So yeah, Invictus, we touched on that. Obsidian, we touched on that. Hexe, we touched on that. Scarlet is the next big RPG after Shadows and will release after Hexe supports ends 1 year. I haven't been able to pinpoint further details on what this game is, but it has been greenlit, it has entered production. But, which is what is interesting, that is of course the one that got delayed. This was the one where we would play a former enslaved person battling with the Ku Klux Klan. But yeah, Ubisoft was afraid of political backlash, which kind of sad, but they also kind of, after what happened with Shadows, just want an easy win. And it should be an easy win fighting the Ku Klux Klan, but we kind of know that it likely won't be, which is the sad reality we are in. So that game got cancelled, but that was also October 2025. This happened, I think, a while back. July 2024. So that team was with Scott Phillips. Great person. He was the game director on Immortals Phoenix Rising, Odyssey, Syndicate, and has been like after Immortals, he's been at Ubisoft Quebec, but he has not touched Shadows. So he has been working on unannounced projects, which has likely taken many forms for a really long time now. Maybe he was first on the Immortals Phoenix Rising sequel, that then got cancelled. Then he was on Scarlet, that then got cancelled in July 2024. So now we're almost a year and a half removed from that. I would not be surprised if he's working on a new RPG, the one after Shadows. But it is kind of crazy that he has not been involved with Shadows, even though he is a creative director at Ubisoft Quebec. Yeah, that's one of the unknowns. Another unknown is, if we continue with this list, we can quickly go over it. Stardust is Ubisoft's second remake in development and will enter production following Obsidian, so Black Flag's release. It's currently unclear what the remake is. You would think that that is the first game, right? That's the game that should get the remake next. Then we have Emerald, another multiplayer title with at least 5 years plan if the game releases and meets internal expectations. So then Tom speculates what it could be. Again, it would suck if they're only trying to do multiplayer with that sort of Fall Guys type game, which seems far removed from anything that Assassin's Creed is. It doesn't seem to include the traditional Assassin's Creed gameplay, either the older games of the RPG games. While I think having an RPG sort of co-op game would be sick. So yeah, he talks about RPG 3, Remake 3. I think it's clear that Quebec is going to do another RPG now that Shadows is kind of done. They're still, of course, supporting it with a relatively small team, but the majority of Quebec is likely already working on this next big RPG. Maybe, again, they started in July 2024 after Scarlet got cancelled. So that would be in development in this summer, would be in development for 2 years. So maybe that is a game that you can see in 2028, the fall after Hexe, that you got it at the end of 2028. That would be pretty big, or maybe in 2029. But yeah, we also have Nebula, which is the rumored upcoming mainline Assassin's Creed. It's not, I don't think it's rumored to be mainline, but it is an Assassin's Creed RPG, seemingly developed by Ubisoft Sofia, expected to release around 2028, 2030. So that is another kind of unknown title, and if we look at the creative director's LinkedIn, of course, their most previous work was on the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC for Valhalla. Before that, they also worked on Valhalla, They, of course, did The Curse of the Pharaoh, still one of my favorite DLCs of all time. And they also co-directed Origins, or like, yeah, did like environments and content for that. They, of course, did Rogue as well. Like, this is a very talented team too. And so, yeah, he has been off the board basically for a very long time as well. So that is another sort of project. So basically, the next big RPG from Quebec might be further along than we think. And Ubisoft Sofia is kind of working on something big in the background as well. So yes, the RPG side has been handled, but I do think there's one other big opportunity for them. And with their now being more Montreal leaders, again, that overall, if you kind of look at the Montreal versus Quebec games, it does seem that Montreal is a bit more focused on making sure the Assassin's Creed feel is present, looking at the lore that they include, and yeah, still the focus on some of the core pillars. While Quebec obviously still wants to kind of do that as well, but we did not see any Izu stuff in Shadows, only post-launch after everyone got mad at them. Odyssey was of course far from an Assassin's Creed experience, still an amazing game, but yeah, I get why people were like, hey, this feels more like a spin-off instead of a mainline Assassin's Creed title. The Montreal games always feel more like a more traditional Assassin's Creed. They have the convention rooms, etc, etc. So, if we go here to Vantage Studios, that is a creative house that has Assassin's Creed. We see Quebec, Montreal, Sofia, Barcelona, Zagunay, and Sherbrooke. But Bordeaux is missing. I think it's wild that Bordeaux, that did Mirage, and of course last year dropped both the Claws of Awaji DLC, and a few months later the Mirage DLC, Valley of Memory, are not here on this list. They're not mentioned anywhere. So I kind of worry for them, because I really think, and again, I do think with having the Montreal leaders now, this is totally a valid sort of option. I think they should do the Battlefield approach. And what I mean by that is that Battlefield 6 is basically the nostalgic Battlefield. It's looking at everything that people did not like about the previous titles. 2042, of course, moved away from the classes to heroes. They did not even have a scoreboard. They added some crazy over-the-top skins. There was like a Santa skin and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of what we see with Call of Duty as well, right? They're also releasing like crossover skins, and it makes the game feel super cartoony. It doesn't have the military vibe. And I think, to a certain degree, that is what is happening with the Assassin's Creed games as well. Look at the Helix items they sell. Like, I'm a content creator. I know what triggers people. So, obviously, I'm gonna make a video about this futuristic rifle that looks out of the future. Or like this lightsaber. Or this other gun with like laser beams and stuff. Because I know it will trigger people. It will do really well. And I really see the similar response. People don't want that in their Assassin's Creed games anymore. Or there is at least an audience that desires the return of the grounded Assassin's Creed experience. And then I don't mean Shadows, because they kind of tried that. No, I really mean, okay, we're in a city, we're fighting the Templars, we have an Izu artifact. So basically what they did with Mirage, but then it should look like a Unity. So it should have that 4-year development cycle, a way bigger budget. It should not be a Fallout DLC turned into a full game. Really, really make an old school, as if you would release Unity in this day and age. I still see the Unity crowd like go viral every year, where it's like, whoa, it's sick, well, how this game looks even to this day. Like, it's 10 years old. Or even longer now. It came out in 2014, of course. But either way, I think that is a big opportunity for them to release a game like that. Again, look at the success of Battlefield 6. Again, I think that's a huge opportunity for them. Battlefield 6 was super popular. But Assassin's Creed was once in that same, like, mindshare in terms of popularity. It sold the same. But now Battlefield 6, I think, sold more in a few weeks than lifetime Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is kind of crazy. And yeah, going back to the Bordeaux thing, I think you should let Bordeaux make it, or at least be a prominent player in that, while maybe Montreal takes the lead, or Montreal helps, like something like that. I think it would be wild to shut down Bordeaux, or put them in as a support team, while it does seem like they have the passion, the knowledge, and I think the experience now to pull this off, and I think that would be very good for the roadmap of Assassin's Creed. So yeah, that's what I have for this video. Again, I think it's very good news that we have some very prominent Assassin's Creed veterans now in charge of the series, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Although it will likely be some time before we really see their sort of footprints all over it. Again, hopefully in the showcase next year. First, we get the Black Flag remake, though, and of course some Shadows post-launch stuff. I'll keep you up to date on everything. So make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and let me know what you think in the comments. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.